You're now watching the Danny Mac Podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome into the Danny Mac postgame podcast. The Bears lost to the Vikings 30-27 in overtime today. Parker Romo, your table is ready. The Vikings place kicker nails a 29-yarder in overtime after the Bears did the unthinkable. They go on sides and recover an onside kick. The ball didn't go the necessary 10 yards, and it hit the leg of a Vikings player, and the Bears pounce on it. They take advantage. Cairo Santos kicks a field goal. Didn't get that one blocked. They had their first attempt today blocked, just as they did their last attempt last week against the Packers, and it cost them the ball game. They were supposed to win that one, and they have their very next kick, same penetration to right inside, right in the A-gap off of the center. And that's just coaching. The Bears' special teams were not very good today. And the DeAndre Carter muff, I don't know what in the hell this dude is thinking on that play. You got to get away from the football. There is no reason to take any chance on that oblong hoochie taking a peculiar bounce, which those footballs do on occasion. They will bounce funny. It hits him in the leg, and the Vikings recovered. Sam Darnold played a better game than Caleb Williams today. And Williams was okay. He wasn't great. That errant pass he had late in the game over the head of DJ Moore, of Keenan Allen was just unconscionable. I just can't believe that he would overthrow the ball that badly. But for the most part, he was pretty good today. 32 out of 47 for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was not intercepted. He was sacked 3 times today. Took a bad one that he never should have taken. Just live to fight another day at some point. Just throw the damn thing away. And I don't know why the Bears can't get more guys open in the scramble drill than they do. You'd think with all that talent, they would find somebody who can get himself open. How many times this year have we seen Williams 4, 5, 6 seconds go by and he still has the ball and still can't find anybody open, and he either finally gets sacked or finally decides to run with it before the play actually shakes out. Darnold on the day today was 22 of 34 for 330 yards, and like Williams, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. He also was sacked 3 times today, and lo and behold, Montez Sweat got one. Look who showed up and got to the quarterback, Montez Sweat, who came off the field again in the first half of play today. He's not been very effective, and I ride him because I expect the guys who are making the biggest checks to make the biggest impact. I don't think that's unfair. Well, what about Justin Jefferson? What did he do today? He didn't have to do anything because Jordan Addison did it all for the Vikings. Jordan Addison was the guy who came up big today for Minnesota. What were the final numbers on Addison? Man, he had 8 catches, targeted 9 times, 8 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson, who loomed large late, 7 catches for 114 yards. The long of 34 late in the game that set up the game winner from Romo, my favorite Romo. But Justin Jefferson targeted 5 times, 2 catches, only 27 yards on the day. DJ Moore tops for the Bears, who didn't run it well. DJ Moore had 7 catches, 106 yards and a touchdown. Allen targeted 15 times. He caught 9 passes, Keenan Allen did, for 86 yards and a touchdown. Cole Kmet, 7 catches, 64 yards. No blood there. Same with Roma Dunze, did not get in the end zone. 5 catches, 39 yards. They both were targeted 10 times. So you get triple digits in targets for Allen, Kmet, and Dunze. And DJ Moore with 7 targets catches them all, and he has the most productive day. But the Bears didn't run the ball very well, and that's where the That's where the rub is today. They were handled on the line of scrimmage. The Vikings offensive line did a nice job for Aaron Jones, who carried 22 times for 106 yards and a touchdown. And he scored that touchdown he scored was in the second half, was the Vikings' first touchdown from a running back in the second half of a game. Little odd statistic. You might have heard Moose Johnson, Daryl, as his partner, the other Kevin calls him. And talking about how long it's been since a team did that. And the team that did it, Decatur, I think, was not Decatur, but somewhere. Des Moines, someplace that doesn't even have an NFL franchise anymore. Back when George Halas was ruling the roost and ruling the NFL. The Bears didn't tackle well today at all. That's a problem. I'm so sick and tired of seeing DBs in particular just duck their heads, keep getting the eyes down on the ground. The eyes can never be on the ground. When your eyes are on the ground, that's where you're going to go eventually, and it's best to take the ball carrier with you. And if you do that, it's easier to do it when you have your arms wrapped around him. But they go for the submarine hits, the shoulder roll tackle, and it didn't work out for Tyreek Stevenson. Terrell Smith, the second-year man out of the University of Minnesota, it didn't work for him today either. And Moose called those guys on it, as he should have. Daryl Johnson, a good guest recently here on the Danny Mac podcast, says you got to wrap guys up, man. I mean, break down. And for those of you who don't know what that means when you hear an analyst say break down, it's get in a football position, keep your knees bowed, slightly bent, hips down, sink those hips, and keep your base, keep your body in a football-ready position. And when I can't remember who it was, it might have been Addison, Jordan Addison, was twisting away from the ball, Stevenson was completely out of position to make a tackle. He says, you got to break down. You've got to get leverage on him. There's an opportunity when Addison was turning and twisting, and they didn't take advantage of it. The Vikings were very good on third down today. And again, when you can't stop the run, as Aaron Jones gets the job done, and I'm happy for Aaron Jones. I thought the Packers gave him a raw end of the deal. I know that's the nature of the game today for running backs. It's put in your few years here, and there you go. Thank you for your service. We're glad you let us put all those miles on the tires. Now that your treads are worn, we're going to part ways with you. You can go get paid somewhere else. Aaron Jones took a pay cut last year to play for the Packers and came on extremely strong at the end of the year. Had a great week 18 against the Bears, if you remember, and kept it rolling in the playoffs. Jones was really good in Green Bay's win in Dallas last January. 38-24, I think, was the final in a game that was nowhere near as close as the score indicated, or maybe it was 48-32, something like that. It was a 2-score differential. I think it was a 16-point difference, but it was nowhere near that close. Dallas didn't score until near the end of the first half and played catch up the entire second half and got some of their points during garbage time. But Aaron Jones had a nice day against the Cowboys and did it again against the 49ers the next week, but Green Bay stalled. They missed a kick, and Jordan Love threw two bad picks, I think both to Dre Greenlaw in that loss to the 49ers in the divisional round. But Aaron Jones, very effective today for the Purple. As the Bears lose again, they have lost 5 in a row now, and at 4-7, it's difficult to see them winning another game the rest of the year. Now, we'll see what happens to San Francisco and see if they can make a comeback. McCaffrey back in the lineup, but Brock Purdy is out as they take on Green Bay today, and Nick Bosa was not expected to play either for San Francisco. So we'll see what the Niners have after the Packers game, but this just does not look good for the Bears. I don't know how you can expect them to win anything the rest of the way, and they really They've got no choice this time but to turn the page. They will be resetting again after Matt Eberflus's third year is in the books. I don't think they will be making a change before then. It would be shocking to me if tomorrow I were to get a text message saying, hey, Bears are making a move, turn your radio on. I don't think it'll happen during the season just based on history. And I don't know what good comes out of it. If there's anything really good that comes out of making the change during the season, you get that little bit of a bump because players then think, okay, this guy just might be retained 5, 6, 7 games, 8 games left to go, whatever there are. So they better bust their ass. You should anyway. NFL guys, you don't have the luxury in that game of taking games off, but not giving your best effort because there's going to be a coaching change would be easy to spot that. So you've got to give your best effort. But I think there's the danger, the Wayne Fontes effect, if you will. I call it the Mike Quade effect in baseball. Quade was the interim manager of the Cubs a few years ago and did a nice job finishing the second half of the season, and players liked him, so they petitioned the management team to retain him, and they did. And it was a terrible decision, just as it was for the Lions to retain Wayne Fontes. With all the talent the Lions had in the 90s, Wayne Fontes did not get a lot out of that. They won a division. They won a playoff game, beating Dallas before getting pasted by the then Washington Redskins. And Washington wound up winning it all that year. But Wayne Fontes had Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, Brett Perriman, Johnny Morton, and Scott Mitchell was the quarterback. That's some talent, man. And Lomas Brown, the big left tackle, one of the best pass protecting tackles in NFL history. Certainly for his era was elite, and Wayne Fontes just couldn't get it done. So the Bears will be looking for a new head man after the year. And I don't know how they didn't do it this past year. They're the Bears. That's the only explanation I can offer. We were living in an NFL world where Jim Harbaugh was available, Bill Belichick was available, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, all were available. 3 of the 4 had won Super Bowls. Vrabel came very close to getting to one. And the Bears said, no, we're fine. We have Matt Eberflus. Was that Ryan Poles or was it George McCaskey above him? I don't know. I know the arranged marriage, even though Poles was very defensive at the initial news conference when Eberflus was presented, as was Poles. He denied it. He got very defensive when pushed on why there wasn't more of an extensive job search. Why didn't you interview more guys? It wasn't extensive, sir. You jumped to Mark Potash from the Sun-Times. It was an extensive job search. I got him. I found him. Oh, okay. I have no doubt Eberflus was on his hit list because at the time, the Colts were, when Eberflus was the Colts defensive coordinator, they were very, very good. They were leading the league in turnover differential, and things looked good from that standpoint. But it's not gone well for Team Eberflus, and the McCaskies are going to have to re-rack again. I want to tell you a little bit about how you can profit enormously by playing the same game parlay at Bet Rivers. Pick 2 or more from within the same game and parlay them to increase your odds. The more you move, the more your odds will increase. And if you win, you earn squares that are worth profit boosts. They're worth bonus bets and jackpots up to $10,000. It's the same game parlay from Bet Rivers. I nailed mine last week, got greedy this week, and played 3 of them. I had the Vikings on the money line. I had the Bears to score 2 touchdowns at least, but I did not get my Caleb Williams interception. How could I not get a Caleb Williams interception? Has Caleb Williams been that much better the way they're talking about in the last 2 weeks under the direction of Thomas Brown? You'd think he was posting just crazy ass numbers. Now, they scored a touchdown today in the first quarter. That hadn't happened all season. They enjoyed a first quarter lead today. Going into the second quarter, Chicago 7, Minnesota nothing. But it didn't last long. I don't find the difference to be that colossal. I don't see the same thing so many others are seeing. I think, other than getting the play in quicker and not having to be so rushed as the play clock is expiring, I think, they're getting him to turn the ball inside rather than outside when nothing is open. Flush yourself up in the pocket, not around the pocket. Step up toward the center position originally, not around the edge. That's where he gets in trouble. But I don't think it's been colossally better. The production, been a little bit better. They were okay on third down today. Vikings were pretty good on third down today as well. The Bears also made a key fourth down, but they missed one. And the Vikings were 6 out of 13 on third down. And how about the fourth quarter? When they bring in Nick Mullins, because Darnold was gimpy, and he completes a 3rd and 13, I think it was the waggle. He found Aaron Jones running across the middle of the field. He hits him, and Jones makes the first down. And then they completed, when Darnold returned, they completed 3rd and 12. You got a 3rd and 13 with your backup who'd thrown one pass the entire year. That's how it's gone this year for the Bears. It's just one of those years. They gave up 452 yards of offense today to the Vikings. The Vikings averaged 8.6 yards per pass to the Bears' 6.3. Rushing, the Vikings averaged 4.6 yards per rush to the Bears. 3. Oh, boy. Man. And the Bears had more penalties as well. Sorry, I lost my spot there. I want to thank you for joining me for this post-game edition of the Danny Mac podcast. I'll have Coach Herm Edwards is going to join me early this week, and then we've got to do Bears and Lions. It's hurry up and get ready for the next showdown, because they don't stop this NFL for the holidays, man. It keeps going. You get the triple play, as it's been for 15 years now with the NFL. You get your 11:30 date in Detroit, and then you go to Dallas at 3:25, and then we have our night game. No longer have to watch Mississippi and Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. The 4 and 7 Bears need to regroup and play out the string with pride and earn their checks. Montez Sweat. Man, earn that dough, dude. DeMarcus Walker consistently is their best edge rusher. And the rookie Booker isn't that far behind him. And I don't see Sweat commanding many double teams. He certainly didn't today. O'Neal, 75. Pretty much was in isolation on him. When I do the more academic watch of the game second time through on Monday, I'll have a better idea as to how many times they got help for the tackle, but it didn't look like often Montez Sweat. And when I put it on Twitter earlier in the game, a lot of people were commenting on some of the things that I've noticed several weeks ago. That is that Montez Sweat, number 98, consistently has his hands on his hips and he's sucking for air. He's not in very good shape. And if it's a result of the injury, it's understandable. But do something, man. Do something to get your cardiovascular system better. You can't be that sluggish. That was just it's not been a good look these last few weeks. But with the overtime, he played more than 40 snaps today, for the first time since week 3 against the Indianapolis Colts. Sam Michaels, is my executive producer, Adam Delavitt. Baby Capone runs the show for the Bet Rivers Podcast Network. And we thank our friends Alex Pastor and Troy Mocker and Randy Merkin, who also help out behind the scenes to make the Danny Mac Podcast go. Thank you for listening. Those of you who have been watching on YouTube, thank you. I told you I was going to iron my flannel, and I did it. I didn't wear it for this one. I'll wear that for a victory show down the road. I'm Dan McNeil. More football soon on the Danny Mac Podcast.